Revenue Forum is a non-profit initiative started by me in 2008, more as a desire to meet interesting revenue managers and get inspired myself. Currently, we organize several things. Monthly webinars every first Thursday of the month, and these we started recently in the wake of COVID-19. We do have half-day seminars. We had them running in 10 cities in 8 countries, and we will soon get started again with them. We have whole day events, the first one being held on the 12th of October this year. And this is a unique event held simultaneously in Stockholm, London, Rimini, and online. I will talk a bit more about this at the end of the webinar. The topic of this Revenue Forum episode is shaping the hotel's commercial needs post-COVID. And we have invited an expert panel to talk about the subject. The experts panel consists of 5 expert speakers who will each get 5 minutes to talk, and we will introduce them to you shortly. We will use a Pecha format, and this means that the presentation slides automatically change after 20 or 30 seconds. After this, we will hold a panel discussion. Participants to this webinar are a broad mix of listeners from all over the world, where different types of restrictions still may apply. It's a blended mix with hotels ranging from 2 to 5-star, the independent and branded, and we will try to make this coming hour as inspiring as possible to you all.
Hi Annemarie, and hi everyone. Pleasure to be here today. So I'm Mark Haywood from RateGain. I'm the SVP and General Manager of Europe and Africa. I'm very excited about the conversation today. I'll be talking around not to treat others how you want to be treated yourself.
Thanks, Annemarie. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Michael from OTA Insight. I'm the head of sales for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I hope the audience today to think about enhancing their commercial team's approach to getting the best out of the demand we see today and in the future using forward-looking data and market data.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Annemarie. My name is Laura. I am with the Ideas Strategic Account Management team. I manage a team of account managers throughout EME and supporting hoteliers in their revenue management journey. And I'm here today to talk about how to connect and optimize your commercial organization with a real focus on data. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar. I'm Saahil, Head of Customer Success at Oaky, so basically responsible for everything post-sales for Oaky worldwide. And I'll be talking today about shaping commercial alignment at the hotels.
Yeah, well, thank you, Annemarie. I'm Anders Johansson. I'm the CEO of the Demand Calendar, and I will be talking about the 5 building blocks to create a high-performance commercial team.
My name is Annemarie Gubanski. I'm the organizer of these webinars. Today I will be the moderator. In my day-to-day life, I am the founder and CEO of a company called Taktikon, and we are a consultancy and training company. We are specialized in revenue management and hotel distribution. Now, maybe let's start off with the first speaker then. Mark, are you ready for your speech?
I sure am. So I've already just introduced myself, so I don't need to do that again. I would say, let's go. Let's do this. Okay, so I've been in this industry now for just over 2 decades, running both operational and commercial teams, initially in the hotel side of the industry, shortly afterwards moving on to the travel agency world, and then the last decade focusing specifically on commercial teams, but in the travel technology space. Something that I've been told from a very, very young age, and maybe part of my British culture, is you should always, absolutely always, treat others the way that you want to be treated yourself. And I've applied that to most of my commercial relationships as well. Then very recently, someone said to me, was I sure that that was the right thing to do? And I thought, obviously that's the right thing to do, because if you make people happy in the commercial world, they're going to stay with you for longer and maybe spend more money and sign more contracts. And they said, no, absolutely not. And I thought, what on earth are you talking about? They said, don't treat others how you want to be treated. Treat others how they want to be treated. It's important that you get on the same page or you're going to have a problem. So that made me consider, within my own clients, within RateGain, how do I interact with them? How do I treat them? Are they all the same shape and size? Do they all work this on the same products? Are they based in the same countries, speak the same languages? Do they even speak to my own team in the same way? No. My own team is equally very diverse, very different. Do I work with them in the same way? Do they have conversations with our clients in the same way? And as you can see here, absolutely not. It's a very diverse mix of people. So then when I tie together the RateGain clients, the RateGain commercial team, how do we interact, and how have all companies I've worked for interacted? Historically, we used to sit down face to face, we'd have a coffee, we'd go to a trade show, and we would talk. Then the last 18 months, we've gone on to Zoom, Skype, Hangouts. We now use WhatsApp more than we use email, which is crazy, but it means that we're different. I worked with an external company to understand my own client mix, and they identified 4 different key groups: the fiery red business-like people, the data-driven blue people, the caring and sharing earth green people, and then the super fun and animated and expressive sunshine yellow people that can also be a little bit distractive. And I thought, I understand my clients, but what about my own teams? So again, I looked at a system called Taktikon, that means I see you, and mapped out my own direct reports, their own profiles. Very quickly, I noticed there are some groups, there are some overlaps, but they're all very different. They're all very diverse. We work in an industry, which is hospitality, that's evolved very quickly from going to caves to inventing a wheel that made us want to travel. Travel became planes we wanted to book online, the same as we wanted to book hotels, and then boom, happens COVID. And we stopped everything, and we started, and we stopped, and we started. Travel is now back. I myself was on holiday in southern Spain. I live in Spain, but I was on holiday last week in southern Spain. Certain markets and certain companies I'm talking to now report a V-shaped recovery. Are we ready for it as hoteliers? Are we ready for how we engage? If we're not meeting people face to face like we used to before, now we have to dedicate time online. Do our clients know that we're open again? Are we engaging on social media? How do we engage on social media? Do we do email communication? Is the content on our website up to date for the digital audience? That's all great, but then do we have the teams within our companies, diversity enough to be able to respond to new client concerns? So we can have dreamers and artists, but do they know how to talk about health and safety concerns within hotels today? Are we ready on our side and on the hotelier side? In the last 18-month period, travel technology companies have been developing, have been innovating, have been launching new services, new systems, new things to help hoteliers. All hoteliers now need to have a look at what those systems are, because maybe they're not the same. And by not being the same, pre-COVID, we used to receive bookings via certain channels, certain client mixes, certain types of business. That's different now. So we now need to look at systems that tell us what are the channels that are booking into our competition. What does the market compression look like? But in summary, if you take nothing away from my 5-minute monologue, make sure that you regularly talk to your clients and ask them specifically what they want versus what you think they want and versus what you've always offered them. Because ultimately that's going to help you shape your commercial offerings as we move forward out of this current pandemic. Thank you. Those 5 minutes flew.
It goes fast, right?
It gets faster live.
You make a very valid point. I mean, we do system audits, and actually, you know, a lot of times people come to us and say, I'm not happy with my system anymore. We do the audit, and it appears that their system actually was the right one for them, but they just did not really work with the updates anymore. They weren't informed about them. So I think it's a very, very, very valid point. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see if we are ready for our next speaker. Oh, there it is. Michael.
Hey, Annemarie. Hello, everybody. Great to be here. I think we've done the intros, as Mark pointed out, so shall we just get started? So we know COVID has changed so much about our personal and professional lives. You don't need me to tell you that, but what does it really mean for the commercial team in hotels? I mean, at OTA Insight, our hotel partners tell us but thus seeing positive signs that optimism for recovery is continuing to grow in many parts of Europe, indeed around the world. But the impact of COVID has changed a lot of what we know about our businesses, and therefore creating the challenge or opportunity to change how commercial teams act and create value for the hotel. We know and we see there's less staff to do the work, and the traditional demand drivers, as Mark was pointing out, have changed or become less relevant, making forecasting and budgeting way more difficult. There's less overall demand, as we know. The shape and source of that demand is less clear, and it's weighted towards leisure. And that customer booking behavior is much less predictable, while the competition for that guest has increased. So we really need to be conscious of what the market is doing. This means the commercial team will need to consider a fresh approach to finding and attracting guests, making agile commercial decisions at all the time, staying tuned into the changing demand signals to get the best out of what's available now and in the future. Guest booking behavior is increasingly volatile, as we know, and the booking windows become compressed. These travellers are booking within days of arrival, making it a challenge to use on the books and historical data to forecast, or indeed make commercial decisions. There's less time for hoteliers to respond to changes in demand, and with demand remaining low, any positive uplift, like the uplift you can see here in flight searches for Lisbon, needs to be jumped on immediately to get ahead of the competition with both nimble pricing and offers. We also see that the rates are being changed more frequently and often on the day of itself. So there simply isn't any time any longer for trial and error. So we do need to think differently about our approach as a commercial team. So what would be some of the things the commercial team could do now? I've got 3 thoughts to add. They can start to use forward-looking data sets, tap into upper funnel demand trends by identifying travellers while they're still in that dreaming or research stage of their customer journey. By analysing hotel and flight search behaviours in real time, you can better understand who is looking, what they're looking for, and how long they want to stay. The challenge has traditionally been accessing that information and then being in a position to get actionable insight to guide commercial decisions. But now it's much more readily available. This knowledge allows you to better target your marketing, pricing, and guest offers to put your hotel ahead of the competition in the eyes of these travellers and greatly increase your chance to access what limited demand there is. And we need to rethink who we're competing with. As more hotels are now chasing these leisure travellers and with limited resources and time available to you, data-driven alerts can help take advantage of pricing and booking opportunities. Hotels should also be super aware of what's happening around them. How is the competition reacting? Is there more competition now that hotels who traditionally target business travellers are also chasing the leisure guests? Are events in the city being planned again? And when and where are they happening? Get insight into this and also how your hotel is represented on OTAs in terms of pricing parity, ranking or reviews is even more important during these times. So no room for error when attracting these travellers. Using business intelligence solutions that utilise your PMS data can be effective for spotting and capturing recovery trends and delivering actionable insights to make more informed data-driven commercial decisions. BI tools will save you enormous amounts of time and so will be vital to optimise performance through your recovery. You should continue to monitor which countries are starting to pick up and via which channels they're booking. And then as before, concentrate pricing decisions and marketing spend on those demographics and channels. So in the last minute I have left, what can you take away today? Well, in order to forecast effectively, pay attention to your new guest. Keep an eye on source markets in which countries are searching to come, for how long they're planning to stay. And by incorporating this forward-looking data into decision-making, commercial teams can focus their sales and marketing budgets where it's most needed and capture demand ahead of the competition. As we move into recovery, hotel demand has shifted almost entirely to leisure. Hotels are now competing with a different set of properties and also with the private alternative accommodation providers. It's vital to get more visibility of competition and take a more dynamic approach to the competitive landscape by taking into consideration a wider range of properties than those that usually compete against. And finally, it can never be more important that commercial teams work in collaboration with each other. Actionable data insights should be available to the whole commercial team in one platform with easy to read reports that empower you to work cross-functionally to drive growth. So I'll take this opportunity to get your tech stack aligned to these goals and prepare to maximize your commercial success in the months together. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions or thoughts, then please feel free to contact me.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. You touched on a few nice points, actually. Yes, I think technology make it available to the whole commercial team, but then it's also a challenge to say, okay, how do you work with this information, right?
No, indeed. I think there's a lot of information out there. You can be overwhelmed and inundated with data. It needs to be curated and analysed and presented in a way that you can be alerted to opportunity to take action, and that's where analytic tools and dashboards can help greatly with the level of data that's available these days.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you so much for your interesting 5 minutes. Let's see if our next speaker, Laura, is ready for her 5 minutes of fame.
Thank you, Annemarie. Yes, so I've already introduced myself, so I think we're good to go. Thank you. So I think I definitely need a new headshot. That's my pre-lockdown hair there. But as I said, my name's Laura. I'm with Ideas. And I've got a very varied background from hotels to technology training through to account management. So hopefully I have some good knowledge to share with you over the course of the next 5 minutes about how we can really achieve commercial success through data. So I think what's in a job title? So we're talking today about the commercial department, the commercial director. But really, this has been an evolution. So if we think 10, 20, 30 years ago, the reception manager or the reservations manager was the person making these decisions about what strategy should the hotel have. And it wasn't easy back then. We had such little data. The guests would phone us, we knew their name, arrival date, stay date. If we were really lucky, we knew why they were coming. And we had to make decisions about the hotel strategy based on this really basic information in this old card system. So what is a revenue manager's responsibility now? What is a revenue manager's responsibility today? So trend and data, of course. We need to be able to forecast demand. We need to be able to set the pricing strategy, and not just for today or tomorrow, but the long-term strategy. And that's harder than ever before with so much uncertainty and volatility in the marketplace. And some revenue managers, of course, have additional responsibilities for distribution, groups, potentially meetings and events, strategic campaigns. Do we have corporate rate strategy? Do we not? Again, even harder than it ever was before. So really, we need to make decisions now, not just based on the guest name, the guest arrival date, but hundreds, if not thousands of different data points scattered around. And it's the revenue managers or the commercial director's responsibility to try to make sense of all of this disparate data and this really volatile data as demand changes, as lockdown rules change from country to country. These data points continue to change. So we have many, many tools at our fingertips in order to make these decisions. So the PMS, of course, naturally, rate shopping data, as Michael was just talking about. So who is truly a ComSet? And not just your ComSet from a pricing perspective, but also from a reputation perspective. Because coming out of lockdown, I don't know about you guys, I want to stay at an amazing hotel. I want to have a great experience. It's not just about price. I have some more money to spend. I've saved some money this year. And of course, for future intent. So from a revenue management perspective, it's not just what's happening in your hotel, what demand is coming into the marketplace, what type of segment, is group starting to rematerialize? So all of these data points and all of these different tools. Now, a revenue manager traditionally has been very much focused on rooms revenue. Now, again, I appreciate some hotels, a revenue manager is also responsible for total revenue. But when it comes to commercial, we need to be thinking about sales, marketing, distribution, and revenue management. So it's not just about managing the demand as it comes through. So we have a whole new data set to think about for this commercial success. So distribution, who do we distribute to and when? What strategy should the sales team take when it comes to making these new contracts going forward in a post-COVID world? Marketing strategy as well. We have less money and less people to do these roles. So we need to be far smarter with this. And of course, operational planning as well. You know, it's really important as we come out of these uncertain times that we know when do we need housekeepers? When do we need receptionists on duty so that we're not making the most of our profitability as well? So there's so much more data points now for our team to be considering. So we need better tools. We need to understand what is our, not just our demand by segment, but what is our demand by channel? which channels are performing for us and how can we optimize that? Which piece of business should we be taking? So yes, there might be that temptation to take first come, first serve, but that isn't necessarily the right thing to do. And it's not just about dynamic pricing, it's about dynamic discounting. A static 10% isn't going to cut it. We need to be more competitive and we need to be smarter with our marketing as well. So targeted marketing, targeting the right type of person, coming in from the right location with a campaign that's going to really be attractive to them. And of course, having a tool that presents this data in a meaningful way so we can make sense of the data to make those decisions and to be able to forecast and budget. And this is going to be our biggest challenge. Spreadsheets are not going to cut it anymore when it comes to performing these tools. We need the right, performing these jobs, we need the right tools to be able to do this. So just a little bit about ideas. We've been around for over 30 years, the market leader in revenue management tools. We've been supporting over 15,000 clients through the last 14 turbulent months, and we continue to support them now. And over 98% of our clients continue to work with us. So I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to any questions that you have afterwards, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Laura. I love
Thanks,
the way
Annemarie.
that you also express the complexity of being a revenue manager. And still people think that the only thing we do is just like open and close channels.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. I don't know why we are so bad at communicating that actually what we do is quite intelligent, right?
And it's even harder now than it's ever been before.
It is. As you said, it's much more insecure right now. Well, let's see if we can locate our next speaker, Saahil.
Yes, I am here.
You are there.
All right, let's go. Greetings, everyone. I would like to refer to everyone on this webinar as commercial leaders because that's what you are. Thank you for joining us, and thank you all the previous speakers for your valuable insights. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about shaping alignment and driving collaboration between hotel teams. And I'm going to come at this with a bit of a different angle, a different perspective from working in a tech company. And besides this, I have practical experience in managing organizational change and very, very happy to connect with you. Drop a yes in the chat box if this sounds very familiar to you, which is basically hotel teams working in silos, all having different initiatives, yet contributing to the same goals, different tools. And some of these could be complementary, could be competing against each other. And the siloed approach of driving revenue really causes frustration between departments, leads cash being left on the table, and in some cases, even a broken customer journey. Dear commercial leaders, we simply cannot afford to operate as we did pre-pandemic. We need to change and evolve in order to eliminate these silos so we can all drive bottom line revenues and exceed guest expectations and stay competitive. And like our previous speakers already mentioned, while managing all of this with a skeleton team. So it really is time for change, and we should aim to thrive and not merely just survive. So why the need? Because travel is picking up in your respective markets. If not, it gradually will. Soon you'll be welcoming guests that are craving for different experiences and are looking to be pampered. So it's your job to give them a reason to spend their saved up money and have an amazing experience at your hotel. So only by working together with everyone, you can ensure maximum guest spend and an amazing experience. So we really have to reimagine how we align and collaborate with each other. So we have to start with a different approach to leadership, which is going away from the traditional top-down leadership style to a more agile style of leadership. So it's basically, instead of telling people what to do, ask them how you can support them in what they are doing. Instead of having multiple unclear goals, have one clear goal for everyone to align and collaborate on, and give teams freedom and flexibility to independently execute ideas that drive bottom line revenue. And you can start by aligning on a North Star metric, which is one singular KPI that helps all teams align their activities around. A North Star metric must do three things: lead to revenue, reflect customer value, and measure progress. In a post-pandemic area, we really have to move away from only looking at room revenue and looking at total hotel revenue management. So think TrevPar, and if you're really brave, go for GoPar. So you have your North Star metric nailed down. That's half the battle won. Think about the next hurdle, which is breaking down team silos. There are 3 types of team silos to be aware of. The first one is departmental silos and how this interacts in terms of collaboration with each other. Informational silos, the flow of information needed to drive that North Star metric, and the mindset silos, which can magnify the problems of the previous 2 silos. And you have to address all of them. I'm going to keep this short because the next speaker is going to speak a bit more about this, but indeed try and think about motivating and incentivizing your team, reward quick wins, celebrate them, think about monetary, non-monetary rewards, collaborate and create cross-departmental teams with the aim to drive that one singular North Star metric. This speeds up the breakdown of silos, and take regular feedback sessions in terms of what is working, what doesn't, and what needs to be, of course, changed in the coming period. So a quick summary, we all have an opportunity to rewrite how we collaborate and align with each other. And leadership is crucial to make this change come about. Pick one collaborative KPI and start nailing down and aligning around it. Really focus on breaking down silos one step at a time to have a high-performing organization. And at the end of the day, it's all about execution. So repeat the plan, do, check cycle until you reach perfection. That's basically all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Also touching on the part that we still are silos, actually, right? I think we've come a long way from commercial departments just like working for themselves, now starting to work together. But then there's a bit of a journey to go still, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Let's see if we can locate our final speaker, at least the final panelist, Anders.
Yes, I'm here. So I love structure, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I have recently written a white paper on how to create a high-performance commercial team. You will find some useful ideas and practical worksheets to guide you when you build your own team. And let's go with the presentation. So I really think that you should start from the ground up, and now it's a good time to actually rethink a lot of things in how you organize your commercial team. So let's have a quick look at the 5 building blocks of how you structure the commercial team. So the first one is structure for teamwork. Unbundle all the jobs in a hotel and structure them into 3 main functions: commercial, guest management, and business control. And the commercial circle brings in the revenue. So that's where we are going to focus. So marketing, sales, and revenue are the core functions in the commercial team. In small hotels, maybe there's only room for 1 or 2 team members that will handle all the commercial work. Start small and carefully expand when the demand starts to grow. In larger hotel groups, there is a need for more people. Some functions will be central, some on property. It all depends on the type of hotel and the location. Think out of the box and keep the flexibility by using freelancers, experts, and outsourcing. So building block 2, hire A-level talents. The most important role in the commercial team is the leader. Here you need an A-level talent. The leader should love to inspire, lead, and coach people. Commercial manager is not the new title for the same old revenue manager. Keep that in mind. Great talents have left the industry for more interesting jobs with much higher compensation. Be prepared to train, coach, and lead a much more inexperienced team in the future. The good part is that the younger generation will bring in new ideas and new technology. So are you like these guys, waiting for everything to go back to normal? Big mistake. The consumer behavior has changed. Segments have shifted, and much more will change when the pandemic is under control. If you don't adapt, you will soon become irrelevant and meet your Kodak moment. Building block number 3, eliminate boring work. Talents hate mundane tasks and that could have been automated. Hotels need to revisit all commercial processes and make them much more efficient. It's a waste of time to use your best paid people as data transport slaves. A large hotel needs technology in most of these over 60 different functions. Hotels miss a lot of opportunities and profits if these systems are not working correctly together. Hotels should also invest 4% of total sales in new technology every year. Very few hotels make data-driven decisions because of the difficulties to collect, store, and make sense of data. Something must change because decisions based on gut feeling does not work anymore. Building block number 4, align the team. All companies need an inspiring vision clearly pointed out by the leader. The hotel will recover faster if every single employee works in the same direction. If you want the hotel to succeed, you need team objectives instead of individual objectives. Yeah, this is the way we're going to do this. Oops, we forgot to tell everyone. A better way to do this is to document strategies and tactics in guidelines to make sure that everyone is following what we agreed. Meetings, one of the best ways to drive execution, but only if they are well planned and well executed. What is the purpose of the meeting? Who can contribute? And what actions will be taken after the meeting? The final block, block number 5, report progress. Copy how the best hotels communicate progress. Timely and accurate reports that provide valuable insights will speed up the decision-making process and lead to higher revenue and higher profits. So build a reporting system with the right information for each target group. Top management needs to get the big picture. The commercial team needs actionable insights, and each role needs details to get the job done. So, as a summary, if you make an effort to fill all these 5 building blocks with the right content, you will get the high performance commercial team that will make the hotel more successful faster. You can download the full white paper at demandcalendar.com, where you will find more ideas how to build your commercial team. Thank you. Any questions? And please contact me, and please download the white paper.
Thank you so much, Anders. I will include the link to the white paper also afterwards to all the participants who want.
Thank you
so much. Well, at this point, I'd like to invite all the speakers to join me in a panel discussion. I'd also like to invite all the listeners, all the participants, to just ask your questions on the chat box or the Q&A. We will take them up to with the speakers. Maybe, Anders, I'll start with you. I mean, you now own and run a tech company, but actually in your previous life, you've been a general manager, and you were known to be like a very early adapter of the revenue management. You were leading a commercial team. From that perspective, if you go back to the good old days, what was your best part of leading, of the best tips you can say of leading a commercial team?
Yeah, most of my memories is actually memories of a bit of struggle with the commercial team, because it was very much cemented in silos, and I was the general manager, but they all reported separately into me, so I became sort of the commercial manager also, and back then, this is over 10 years ago, so back then it was even harder to get the right data, even harder to get the right decisions, even harder to get everyone to work together. So that's why I really believe in the change of mentality to become a commercial team and break out all the commercial work out from the normal operations and really work on that very, very focused. And then I'm 100% sure that that will make a huge difference in terms of revenue and profitability.
Yeah, thank you. I think you're right. Actually, talking about these silos, Saahil, you were also talking about that in your speech. You know, I have another burning question to you.
Go for it.
Being in the job that you are in, that I am in, I mean, there's a lot of mingling going on and going to fairs and so on. And the thing that they always say about Oaky is, yeah, but Oaky has a very large marketing department. And now I want to know, how large is your marketing department?
It's basically the whole company. No, I'm kidding. We have a very small and a very efficient team of 3. And that is led by Marika. I'm pretty sure you heard about her. And I think the way they are able to execute and deliver on everything is because we have that one North Star metric to align on. And that's how they organize whatever they do every single day with every department in the company. And that's what they deliver, amazing value overall for all the teams.
Yeah, I'm asking you this because, yeah, I know it's a very small team, but you give the impression that it's really like a huge marketing, right? Yeah. Laura, I presume that you have the same issue, because I mean, being part of a very large company, how do you arrange your commercial activities?
Our commercial activities from a marketing, and so yes, being a global company does make it more challenging, because of course you have to quite a regional approach. So we really take that personalization message importantly, because what's important to a hotelier in Japan, with so much uncertainty coming up around the Olympics and so on, versus maybe someone in a seaside resort in the Netherlands will be quite different. So yes, we have a core central team, but with a very regionalized approach.
Yeah. Okay, nice, thank you. Mike, I've known OTA Insight as a startup company. Actually, the founder, he was, I think, one of the startup companies at the event that Anders and I organized, hotel market seminars. I know him standing there still. At that time, he was kind of shy. He isn't anymore, I think. But you know, you've grown actually from a small startup into a very large company, right? And still, what I feel with you and what you hear also about OTA Insight is you still are very, very, very close to your customers, even though you have a very large set of customers. She said a bit, how do you say it? I'd love to be there as well. But Mike, how do you have like does OTA Insight have a special secret to give us there?
Thanks, Annemarie. Actually, we're working with over 55,000 hotels globally. So yeah, it's quite extraordinary, the scale in which we've grown in, as you say, such a short time. And I think it's a fundamental part of our values and structure is how we treat customers, okay? When we firstly, when we approach hotels, is with the intent to help them. Then we spend a lot of time listening to them, what is challenging them, what they need, what's on their wish list. And we actually use that to develop new products that enhance our solutions for the hospitality market. So customers are right at the center of everything we do, not just the sales team, but every member. And then, sorry, I muted myself accidentally there. And then we follow through with like world-class and very much in-person customer service. And this is best illustrated by the fact that we have a customer sat score of over 98% and a net promoter score greater than 75%. So our customers are telling us that what we do is great for them. So that's a real, reflection on our values and our structure playing out in the way we wanted to with customers. And of course, it brings enormous loyalty and gives us that opportunity to continue to grow.
I think, Laura, because I mean, you have the same problem. You all also just are very known to be very, very, very good in customer service, but you're a huge company, right? You're not a startup. Is this the same? Is this what you were meaning before? Like, okay, we treat every customer exactly the way.
Absolutely. So every single one of the hotels that we work with has a dedicated relationship manager, and that is their first point of contact with a very proactive support model. And I think maybe that's one of the things that sets us apart is our proactive approach, particularly during the last 14 months, where there's been so much volatility in the market with hotels opening and closing from almost from 1 week to the next in some cases. So having someone who's looking at their forecast, looking at their data to say, have you seen this? You know, this is what we think you should do, and offering that guidance and advice, I think, has been invaluable. So yes, every client, it's dedicated relationship manager of the primary user, access to strategic account management as well, to Michael's point, to help shape and influence our roadmap. So as we have new developments coming on board, we're working with our clients to say, you know, what do you think? What's important to you? You know, where do you want us to focus our attention, and to see who wants to partner with us on that journey as well. So very much a collaborative approach to our support.
I think actually Mark made that point already in the beginning, right? It's like, okay, you should not treat the way you should not treat people the way you want to be treated. You should treat people the way that they want to be treated. Mark, actually, I'll give you a compliment. If you talk to people and they say, okay, they talk about you, it's always about, you know, what a nice person you are. But I think you are the manager of quite a large team, right? And I presume that you sometimes have like a bit of tough conversations there as well. How do you maintain that, like
people management? People management is great fun. And as I've moved around the industry from hotel, travel agency, travel technology, it's fun in every single aspect, because yeah, people are good fun. But I think, you know, the key for me has always been, I'm part of the team. So I might be manager of something, but I'm part of the team. I'm shoulder to shoulder with people. And I really try to spend and invest an awful lot of time around understanding what people want and making decisions as a group as opposed to individually. That being said, I mentioned in my presentation around the 4 personality types, and the fire red is the person who takes the decisions. Based on all of the analysts that I had, I was fire red, but I believe that I'm the earth green, caring, sharing. But working together, shoulder to shoulder, and inviting feedback the whole time. So we have different strategies around virtual suggestion boxes, around, you know, posting your comments in here virtually nowadays around anything that you want changed within the team, within the geography, within the business, within the client set. We do that internally, but we also do it externally as well with clients. And I think that's quite key. But thank you, I love the comment. And I'm still red.
You're very much in line today, right? We got a question in our Q&A, and it's from a person that works at a German hotel chain and in commerce, and sees that automation is extremely important. But one of the largest struggle is working with self-service projects or booking interfaces. Many requirements of complication factors that commerce is interested in. So he gives a few examples, or she, I don't know if it is a he or she. Guest adding additional services on specific days of stay, splitting payments, splitting deposit payments, rules per specific tour operator, and you can go on. Yeah, there's a long list of exceptions, and that's quite right. So what are your options of how a commercial strategy should be in regarding to automation process, such as automatic modifications, adding services and integration to tour operators, tour operating booking engines? Any of the automation guys know how to answer that?
Otherwise, I can answer that. I think everything that could be automated should be automated, and the overall trend in society is that a lot of companies give the work to the customer or to the consumer. We have to do everything ourselves nowadays. We make the reservation ourselves. We don't call in anymore. We hopefully we check in ourselves, we check out ourselves, and we order things ourselves, and so on. And I think that trend will continue. And I think it's also actually a good trend for hotels, because that means that hotels can become a little bit more profitable when we send some work over to the consumer instead of doing it ourselves.
I think I would just add to that as well, from a hotel point of view, when you're thinking about your technology landscape, is making sure that everything integrates as you want it to. So if you have an IT director who's going off in this direction, looking at maybe a new CRS, and someone else is over here looking at an upgrade system, how do they talk to each other, and how does that integrate with your RMS? Because as soon as you get one break in the chain of integrations, you're creating more work for yourself. That's when your customers start complaining, they get unhappy. So really think about that infrastructure, that ecosystem of technology, and get the best possible integrations that you can.
Yeah, and there is, I think, to the point of the question, I mean, in our projects, and we have several, we have a distribution platform actually that we started because of this issue that we see with hotels. But also in our outsourcing projects, we are constantly mapping and remapping. There is this complexity, and I always wonder, is it just like a hotel industry kind of thing, that systems are just like not talking? Systems don't give us the information that we want, actually, because I mean, there's a mismatch of things happening there.
I think that there's a trend though at the moment around a lot of companies, especially in the distribution space like ourselves, are working on open API connectivity with the whole ecosystem. So there's 101 different companies that have marketplaces now where you can tap in and easily add channels or other complementary services and systems that are from whichever company. So I think that that's something that's very new within the last 2 years. There's a lot more companies have moved in the space of open API connectivity to accept that we should all work in harmony, shoulder by shoulder again, as opposed to trying to build out one tech stack that does everything.
Annemarie, I'm just going to add to what you mentioned. I think the challenge is not specific to the hotel industry, because my past experience has been outside the hotel industry. It is a common issue everywhere, but to address what PVJ mentions is probably take a step back, do a proper requirement gathering, speak to different departments, see what you exactly need, then figure out if you actually have the data to support that automation. Because in the tech world, there's a saying, if you try to automate garbage, you're going to get automated garbage, which is something we should all try and avoid. So maybe indeed take a few steps back, see what is really needed. Do you have the data? And then indeed try and see what's the best way to go about automating that part.
I think there's, that point being made there is really key, but also what Anders was saying, automation is not at the expense of the individual. If we can automate as much as possible in the commercial team to leave them with the time to actually make strategic or clever decisions that based on the insight they get from automating the collection and analyzing and intuition around that data, then we aren't here to remove a human element. That would be a mistake, but really to optimize and enhance that human element by giving them the tools that they can act on. I think it's inevitable that would be the mixture, combination of automation and human intervention.
But I'd like to go back also. I think, yeah, you're right. Open APIs, the world is going to change, but still, we still have in our total revenue management projects, we do have an issue with the fact that we can't get the information that we need. And that has also to do with the fact that, well, okay, you don't really know the revenue, or don't always know the revenue spent on site, because that does not really go into the same systems that provide our revenue systems with the information that is needed. Like Laura, I know that ideas is very advanced when it comes to total. Is there a way that you see that you can collect information, or how do you do that? Do you use the same problem?
Yeah, I think we've been talking about total revenue management since I started in hotels, and that was quite some time ago. And that's the biggest challenge, is collecting the data, is having all these different tools from, sales and catering data were there. We have great tools to now forecast demand for meetings and events and so on, but spa, green fees, secondary spend and so on. So yes, having working better, working smarter with our partners. We actually have recently launched a new tool, RevPlan, which is a operational forecasting and budget tool. So we've just gone through this whole journey where we're working with new partners that aren't necessarily traditional hotel partners either. So working with open APIs, be more flexible with integrations, and also having the right expectation. The data isn't going to be perfect. And I think some of the clients that we've worked on through this journey towards total forecast, total budgeting, are starting to realize that actually they have a lot of work to do in terms of their business processes before they can even think about forecasting, before they can even get to automation. Is getting the basics right.
Yeah, can I add to that? I totally agree with you, because it's more about sitting down, structuring the way you should work, your processes, all these kind of things in the hotel, and those will be slightly different in all hotels because of the type of hotel, location, target groups, and what facilities you have. But I don't think that the hotels take that time necessary to really structure the processes. It's easier to, ideas seems to be a very good system, let's buy it. And then you implement, and probably it's you have to change a bit of processes in that hotel, and then it's sort of a standalone system, but it does what it should do still. But there is no one taking the full overview of how should we work in this hotel. I think that's something that hoteliers need to think much more about in the near future.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe before we go back again to the commercial department, we went a bit off topic here, but then it's an interesting topic anyway to talk about. But Mike, you mentioned the magic word price parity. We've had a lot of seminars about the topic. Actually, OTA Insight has been at a few of them speaking about the topic. And I think this might also be a question to Mark. What happened the past 1.5 years now, it had a very big impact on the OTAs. You would think that maybe they would change their view on price parity, also with the idea that with keeping in mind that Google actually now makes it much easier for hotels to have their price visible on their platform, offering actually the connection to the website and the price for free. Do you see, or do you think, if you look in the future, that there's going to be a change when it comes to how the OTAs are handling the pricing that hotels are setting? Can you look in the future? The question to Mike and Mark.
Yeah, you got to go, Mark, or I'll go first.
I'll go first then. I'll go first. I'm going to be very honest and very quick though. I don't think that OTAs will change heavily their policy around parity. We've been speaking about parity for most of my career, which is a couple of decades now, unfortunately. I think that hoteliers during the pandemic started to focus more on let's fill the rooms when we can fill the rooms versus are we in parity. But I think on the OTA side, I think there's still quite a strong desire to get parity. And at RateGain, we offer parity services to both wholesale companies and OTAs themselves, so not just to hoteliers, the OTAs. And more recently, we've started seeing a lot of movement in that space where people are starting to look at parity again as markets are opening. But I'd love to hear what Mike says more on the hotel side.
I'm not too far from what you're thinking there. I mean, OTAs, let's be fair. They're a vital part of our industry, and they perform a fantastic task for hotels. They can sometimes operate to their own agendas, which is just normal, right? But I think what we're seeing is a lot of dialogue about trying to drive, use technology to drive direct bookings for hotels. And of course, OTAs, I guess, have had a monopoly on technology to a great degree for many years now. And as you said, Annemarie, now Google's come along, it's kind of, if you like, normalized the landscape a little bit. So suddenly there's other people are getting in the game, and I think hotels can more easily now use technology, whether it be Google or the topics that Mark was referring to get a more of an even playing field with OTAs. So I think OTAs are unlikely to change their approach. I think parity perhaps went a little bit off the agenda for hotels in the last 18 months, but we're seeing a real rise in the recent months where hotels and hotel chains are looking much more closely now at parity, because I think someone mentioned it earlier on, you want to pick the right revenues to grow into recovery, and just filling hotels with low priced rooms isn't going to be the answer. So I think it's a long-winded way to say that, yeah, OTAs will probably keep on doing what they're doing, but I do believe that increasingly companies are leveling the playing field for hotels so that everybody gets a fair crack at the proverbial whip to deliver inventory and revenues.
And just to add on something that I don't know why I forgot, we're actually at the moment in the launch of a project around auto-fix parity. So between our distribution clients and our business intelligence clients, when there are certain rules that happen that show that they're out of parity, to auto-fix that on the distribution systems themselves. And that's really something that's moved during our dark period more than anything, based on client demand more than anything else. So I foresee the future being quite similar to the past with more technology to help.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. Okay, thank you so much. I think we've almost come to the end of this webinar. Time goes very fast. What I maybe would like to ask you, this also comes from having visited a lot of seminars and events and so on. I think what you see is participants, they go there, they listen to the most inspiring keynote speakers, go to workshops, learn a lot, they go home and they do exactly the same thing as what they've been doing before. So if you would give your tips, like, okay, on a commercial perspective, what would be your one key takeaway that you would like to have the participants to take with them and start working with tomorrow? Shall we do this in order of speak? Shall we start with Mark, maybe?
Cool. For me, it would be very simple. Get on the same page as your clients. Don't necessarily look back at what you did before, but look at what they want moving forwards, because that's going to alter your game.
I'll just jump in because I think I was second from memory. And I think, picking up on a theme, I think every panelist mentioned the importance of data or the use of data in commercial teams. So my takeaway is take this opportunity to align your tech stack to ensure that your commercial team can collaborate using both forward-looking data and market data. And that way, together you can optimize performance, not only just in the recovery period, but taking us into the future as well. So that'd be my piece of advice.
I think for me, my key takeaway is to work smarter, not harder, and really make sure you have the right tools for the job. So think about what it is that you need to do, how you can really elevate yourself to that next step in your commercial journey, and make sure you have the right tools and technology to get you there.
Yeah, and I think for me, it would be about aiming to maximize guest spend by working with every single department that you possibly can, and to really make those silos break down one step at a time, departmental information and mindset.
My takeaway is that you have to be aware of that everything is changing, and I think you have to rethink your commercial organization and the way you should work. And I totally agree about you have to have the right tools. You have to optimize the way you work. Time is very expensive, and you have to use it in the right way. So start building the new commercial organization. That's the most important thing right now.
And I think you all were into it a little bit also. The procedure in how this commercial team actually works is a very important factor to take into account. Have some kind of a procedure. Well, that is already the end of the webinar. I really hope you enjoyed it and will be able to attend the next time. We will take a summer break and we'll return in full force on the 2nd of September, and we'll talk about profit revenue management, with speakers from Get Into More, Pingvinen, Taktikon, and Ideas is coming back next time again as well. Also, I hope you will attend the event of the year. It will be on the 12th of October, and we promise you a day to remember with interesting keynote speakers, workshops, and more. And this unique event will be held simultaneously in Stockholm, London, Rimini, and online. And you can book early tickets to the London or Stockholm events latest the 30th of June. So hurry up if you want to get a rebate. Check the website leadershipfromchaos.com for all the details. And with that, we all thank you for listening and participating. If we maybe just like go to the speakers one more time, your final words, a final piece of advice.
Final piece of advice. So I would say to just review all of your current processes. We're now reopening. The market is opening actually a lot faster than a lot of us expected.
I've got no advice as such. It's more wishes of success and best wishes. The market is certainly going in the right direction. There's a lot of opportunity to win there from a hotel guest perspective. Hang tough, I guess, get through it. We've got this far, and yeah, much success going into the second half of this year. Hope it all goes well.
I guess for me, my final words would be, don't panic, stay rational, keep looking at the data. Don't go dumping your rates because you think that's what you need to do. Think about the long term, and good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, and from my side, advice would be to look beyond just room revenue. And indeed, good luck to everybody on the call to take all of these learnings and start implementing from tomorrow onwards already, like Annemarie mentioned.
Yeah, my final thought is prepare now and plan now, because the demand is going to come back very fast and grow very quickly, and then you have to be prepared.
For me, on a personal note, with vaccinations being done in a quick pace, and we can hopefully return to what looks to be like a new normal. First thing I will do is book a ticket to a cinema again as soon as I'm able. Hope this time has given you all of you maybe some new thoughts, a new way of working, and that actually COVID has given us something positive. Final thing, stay safe, everybody, and keep strong. And thank you all for listening. Hope you will be joining us also again in September. Thank you.
Thanks, Annemarie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Annemarie. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.